Hello, welcome to our podcast. What do we call this thing again? It's a Gulf Coast Real Estate Insider Podcast.
Don't you think we should change the name maybe?
No, we're going to keep the name.
It's a long one.
It is, yeah. So anyway, hey, let's talk about the Florida property tax debate. The only reason I want to talk about this is everybody and their mother.
Everybody's weighing in.
Is weighing in online. I'm seeing it on Facebook, Nextdoor, and it seems like two diametrically opposed sides. People are either for this thing or against this thing. The governments are mostly against this thing. They don't want the revenue cut. A lot of people are for this thing. They don't want to pay any taxes and affordability, and we get both sides. And actually, I'm not taking a side on this thing yet because I don't feel like I've studied it enough. But I have read some pretty good things out there, both pros and cons. So I thought we'd just talk about it.
There's some good arguments both ways.
Okay, so let's talk about the good side first. The Save Our Homes Amendment. We always had a Save Our Homes Amendment, which was like $50,000 for people who homestead the property. The problem is it hasn't kept up with inflation. So as these property values went up, $50,000 didn't mean much anymore. So let's put it this way: you have a $50,000 homestead exemption, and the median price was $130,000 back in the day. Now the median price is 4 times that. So the homestead exemption hasn't kept up. If you take 50,000 times 4, that'd be 200,000. That's kind of what they're talking about: 150 to 250 phased in. So there's that.
Well, and that the idea of that is it helps seniors and people on fixed incomes to stay in their homes longer, right?
Well, just residents who've been here for a while. So they've got the cap on how much things can go up, but you're not basically taxed out of your home just because you've been in it a while, because the values keep going up. So that homestead exemption hasn't indexed with inflation. That's one good argument I saw on the pro side.
Okay, but should it?
Well, the other thing is these governments, as the values went up, another argument I saw was, as these values went up, they kept the millage rate the same, so the government's got to spend a whole lot more money. So they basically got a tax increase all the time. So really what should have happened is, if you wanted to be tax neutral, the revenue goes up, so you set the millage out so it kind of equalizes. But when you're serving more people, it costs more to serve fire, police, schools, all these things on more people. So trash, just all these things, just all these services.
So more money comes in, but then in turn more money goes out for infrastructure as well.
Well, here's an argument I have not seen very much. They've reduced the impact fees to attract growth and development. Now, some people are getting tired of all the growth and development, which we need some. You can't be a stagnant economy, or that's never good. But is it too much, and is growth paying for growth, or are you letting the property taxes pay for growth? That's an argument I'm not seeing very much anymore.
So, but also, there's a population of people coming from northern states, coming from all over yet, making decisions where they're going to move. Is the fact that we have no property taxes in Florida or lowered property taxes in Florida, is that going to be an incentive for more people to move here?
No, I don't think so. Because if you read this bill, it freezes people. It takes 5 years to be able to get these exemptions. So it kind of disincentivize people from moving here. Some people might want that. The other thing is this. Let's talk about the con side of it right now. I'm not sure that you're going to get all the benefits they're promising there either, because you've got this thing called valorem taxes, or ad valorem taxes and non-ad valorem taxes. Right. So what are the non-ad valorem? Those aren't dependent on value. Those are the thing each property owner pays. Now, some have special taxing districts. It gets kind of complicated. I don't feel like I even understand it completely. But some fire districts are supported by non-ad valorem taxes, which doing any of this won't affect that. Other fire districts are supported more by ad valorem taxes. Like the North Naples Fire District is more supported by ad valorem taxes, where like Lehigh It's not. It's more supported by
No.
non-ad valorem. So when you cut this, it won't affect the Lehigh Fire Department, but it will affect more the North Naples Fire Department. So you've got some nuances there. It gets very complicated, but this will only cut, if this bill goes through, a portion of your tax bill. The non-ad valorem will be untouched. So everything, when you pull out your tax bill, look at the non-ad valorem, none of that will be affected. I saw a guy run an analysis yesterday. He picked a hypothetical property in Cape Coral. Don't know which property. I didn't run this analysis. But he said when they phase this up to from $50,000 to $150,000 in Cape Coral, this property would save about $1,000 a year. And the next year, when it goes to $250,000, if this passes, he'd save about another $1,000 a year. So $1,000 to $2,000. But that's assuming one thing. When the governments receive less money, they may raise the millage rates. So the $1,000 you think you're saving may not be that much. It might be $750 or $500 or whatever, depending on what all these entities, all these taxing districts do with the millage rate. So there's that. The other thing is,
Well, the cost of goods and services pretty much is still going to stay the same or increase as according to population or all that kind of thing. However,
well, no, you've got inflation, so the cost of services will go up.
well, they always will go up. We can count on that, right? But they will still go up proportionately. However, the cost of who's paying for it will shift. So your homesteaded property may have reduced taxes on it, but your non-homesteaded properties will go up.
And commercial properties
Will go up, correct.
So if, let's say you own a commercial property that houses a business, their costs go up, they're going to try to pass that increased rent on to the tenant.
Right.
Same thing with a residential home. If they're renting it out, they're going to try to recoup that and pass it on to the tenant. If the market bears that, and that's a big if, but if the market bears that, then that will, I don't know though. You know what? I don't know if the taxes itself will affect that, because if the market bears it, the owners would have done it anyway, regardless of what happens.
Oh, well, hold on. So let's say that I have a rental property.
Yeah.
Okay. And the taxes go up.
What kind of property? Commercial or residential?
Well, doesn't really matter, commercial or residential. Look, for sake of this argument, perhaps residential. Okay. So the taxes go up, the property insurance goes up, the flood insurance goes up. I'm going to have to raise.
But what if the market won't bear it? What if tenant buyers are maxed out, people aren't moving here, they just won't pay it? Then you may have to be negative cash flow for a little while if the market won't pay it. And my whole argument was, so let's say you have a property that rents for $2,000 a month, and the market, your property taxes go up $200, so you say, I want to raise my thing up to $2,200. If the market will bear it, that's going to happen. But my question was, theoretically, if the market would have paid $2,200 and this doesn't pass, would you raise your rent to $2,200 because that's the market? Assuming this thing fails, there's no tax increase come out of this thing, but the real market is $2,200, it's not $2,000. You are either undercharging $200 or not charging what the market would bear. You could still raise to $2,200 and you would get it independent of what happens with the taxes.
That's all true. However, that isn't how I see it accelerating.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, just because costs go up to a property owner doesn't mean they can pass everything along to a consumer. If the consumers just can't afford it, you're stuck with a property that just isn't going to rent. Well, let's take a $1 million or $2 million piece of waterfront property. You go to rent that thing out. Is that thing guaranteed to cash flow? Not at a $1.5 million price. It may not. You may lose money on that, but you buy it for enjoyment, for personal maybe for potential appreciation, that sort of thing. But just because the cost is there doesn't mean the market is there. Same thing on the taxes. Just because the cost is there for the owner doesn't mean the market's there. If it is, they're going to get it. If it's not, let's say the economy goes backwards. You've got increased taxes, but you can't recoup it here. It doesn't matter. You want to recoup it, but you may not be able to.
That's true, but I'm saying that the pressure is going to be on all of those items, and it's just going to change. This bill is going to create a lot of noise, okay? From everybody, from those of us seeking to understand, from those who think they understand have an opinion, that kind of thing, right?
But here's a potential downfall. Let's say, a lot of people don't want to buy here because insurance is so high. Flood insurance might be high. The taxes might be high. Although I would argue our taxes are a lot lower than a lot of other places.
Oh, they are.
But, you hear these things, right? But what about if we shift the tax burden away from homesteaded over to non-homesteaded? So let's say you have a second home. You like to come down and visit in the winter months, and you said, I'll buy versus rent. But now the taxes on that property you were going to buy go from $6,000 a year to $8,000 or $10,000 a year. Does that adjust your thinking on how much you're willing to spend, or if you're willing to come here at all? Because now you got property insurance, you might have flood insurance, and now your taxes went from $6,000 to $8,000 or $9,000. It's like, because if taxes come down $1,000 on you, it's either going to be made up somewhere, they're going to raise the millage, and if they raise the millage rate, think about the non-homestead property. Not only are they eating shortfall there, but now the millage rate goes up. It's almost like a double whammy. They're going to be paying more.
Or do we end up with a sales tax eventually? Or a higher sales tax?
To compensate, but they're still paying more and a sales tax. So, will that disincentivize people to move to Florida? Because, a lot of the people here don't like the high prices. They don't like this and this, but when they go to sell, they want the high prices because that's their retirement. That's their nest egg. I paid this much. I want this much. I want this much and then some. So things change when you're buying versus when you're selling. You want all these things, but this provision might disincentivize people from moving to Florida, or it may cap sales prices because now for a second homeowner, so if I've got a condo at the beach, those taxes may go up because not as many people live in those full-time homesteaded as compared to vacation or second homes. So it just bears the question, will it hurt those property values?
That's a quandary, right?
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to any of these things. These are just things I'm thinking about. So I'm not going on record, I'm all for this. Because there are aspects...
You're all for what?
I'm not all for this.
Okay.
I'm not all against it either.
Okay.
I'm saying I want to study it more and see what the impact is going to be and what kind of numbers are we talking. I do think it's good that it gets these governments in a room and they have to start thinking, hey, if we have to cut the budget, what services can we give up? What can we cut back? How can we pay for it a different way? What's fair? It just gets them thinking. Maybe they should have been thinking all along instead of just saying, more money's coming in, government grows no matter what. I think that's good. The practicality of it might be bad in some respects. And it might be too soon, too quick, and how do you adjust for this? And if significant services are cut, or if taxes go up so much that it keeps people away from Florida, you created a cure, but you created a harm that might be worse than the cure. So, I don't know. Any final thoughts from you?
Well, my thought is that it's going to eventually work its way out somehow.
Well,
but it's going to might be painful in certain sectors for a period of time until the adjustments are made. So if you take it from one place and you cut goods and services, yeah, lots of people are feeling it. Until which time as we figure out another way to either tax people or, whatever. And I think they will find another way. And it may be a sales tax increase. It may be because the taxes adjust on the non-homesteaded properties and that kind of thing. In time, it will even itself out. But again, I think there'll be a lot of noise between now and then, a lot of discovery, a lot of things we need to know.
Well, everything works its way out. I mean, wars work themselves out. You have a heart condition, you don't treat it, it's going to work itself out, and it may be not the way you like. It's just, is this worth working out this way or that way? Which way is better? And I guess that's why it's going to be up to the voters, and voters are going to have varying opinions. My opinion is I haven't decided yet because I see the pros and the cons to both sides.
Well,
and I'm not trying to be Switzerland either.
Well, but you need to lay it out and you need to look at the pros and cons. in a methodical manner, something that we can see and grasp and evaluate. And I don't think we have that yet.
But when the government's trying to say, this is what's going to happen, like I saw Fred Burson on TV 2-3 weeks ago, and he says, nothing's going to change. Your taxes are going to go up, and we're just going to, services aren't going to be cut, and it's just a scam. And then you got people on the other side saying, oh, it's going to change, and these governments, they've collected enough money, and they need to learn to do more with less. But you forget, we are the people. We are the ones receiving the services, too. So when things don't happen, we're going to have ourselves to blame. So I don't know.
So for right now, I think it behooves us, you, me, and everybody else to get out there and get all the information out that we can, and try to make some sense of what happens and how it might play out, and talk to the people that are involved in it more.
Keep an open mind. I mean, I know it's easy to say, I'm all for this thing because of this, and I'm all against this thing because of that, but I'm trying to look at the pros and cons and see which one weighs more. And and I haven't done enough research, to be honest. I've read some very clear, articulate stories from other people, and I've appreciated them.
You know, maybe we could invite some other people to come in on this and give us some opinions, their point of view, and help everybody kind of sort through it.
We could, but I don't know if we want to throw facts into the picture. You know, it's fun to have an opinion, and but
you think that's more fun than the facts.
No, us, we're kind of driven by data and by facts, so we do like that. And in the end, sometimes these measures, whether it be this one or any other, you can throw all the facts and data in. Like, people have these spreadsheets when they're going to buy a car or when they're going to.
Now, do you have a spreadsheet when you're going to buy a car?
No, but some people do. Or when they buy a house, we've seen them, or a tech equipment or whatever. They have all these things. In the end, the spreadsheet doesn't matter. They buy what they want to go with anyway. So this might be one of those deals where, is this a feeling or is this a data thing?
Or do you find the data that supports your feelings? Is that what you're saying?
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. So anyway, I guess if you came here for answers, you're probably a little bit disappointed. And if you came here for some pros and cons, you're probably delighted. So anyway, that's our take on the Gulf Coast, Southwest Florida Real Estate Insiders podcast.
Good luck with that.
All right, thanks for tuning in.
The Ellis team at Keller Williams is a family affair. Always call the Ellis team, they'll handle you with care.